Greetings, and you're most welcome to this episode of Civic of Community Voices here on Civic Space TV. My name is Dorid Buole, and today's topic is going to be the Bodaboda economy, the second highest employer in the country, right after the agricultural sector. So right now, the word Bodaboda is actually an invention that started in the 80s and the 90s when there was a bit of insufficient transport across the Uganda-Kenya border. And people would hail at the few bicycles and motorcycles over there to help them cross the border. So they would just shout across the border. And that's how the word Bodaboda was born. Today, the word Bodaboda could actually mean both the motorcycle itself or the person riding the motorcycle. And apparently about 1.2 to 1.5, depending on the reports that you read, these are the Ugandans that are actually employed in this sector. I'm calling it a sector, one industry, because it has now grown and significantly being able to contribute to the economic growth of this country. It is a common sight of motorcycles in the country, in the different parts of the country. Of course, they help transport people daily and their foods and products, especially products across different regions and different places. And it's also common knowledge that they ride approximately 100 kilometers a day and go with about 30 people on a daily. So it's actually a very good lucrative type of business, but also it also is something that has sparked a lot of controversy and been associated with a bit of negativity, including crime and accidents. And today we are going to have a discussion around what can be done or what the impact it is for this industry to be able to be employing about this number of people, and how can we better the situation. Today, to discuss this topic, I have been joined by an amazing panel of Ugandan citizens that are going to be dissecting and discussing what the future of Bodaboda and the potential employable sectors here in the country. And I'm going to give them a minute each to be able to introduce themselves further and also share with us what where they are looks like. We would like to know the picture of where you are, what it looks like. So I'm going to start off with, of course, I'm going to start off with Naula, the Honorable, Naula Manjeri, who is an aspirant of the Chibuku District Woman MP for the year 2026 to 2031, and is also a founder of Restoration for Teenage Mothers, a secondary teacher at that, for literature in English. If you're on, please just unmute and say a few words, tell us where you are and how it looks like so that we can have a picture of the place that you're living right now. Okay, Naula, I think, is going to be joining us a little bit later. So let's move on to Sidney Nyombi Ssenyonjo, who is a road safety advocate, an amazing addition to our panel who is going to be able to be dissecting. So just tell us where you are and how it looks like so that we can start off this discussion in 1 minute.
Thanks, Doreen.
Yes.
Greetings to you and the other panelists. As stated earlier, my name is Nyombi Sidney Ssenyonjo, currently with Masters of Engineering in Transportation Engineering and Road Safety Advocate. And currently, this meeting has found me when I'm in Boyogere. I'm happy to join the conversation. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Nyombi. Thank you for joining and being a part of this discussion. Let's move on to Lucky Ninsiima, who is our very prestigious farmer, and would like to know how is farming, how are you, and how is the place you're at?
Thank you so much, Dorit, and good afternoon, viewers of Civic Space TV and my fellow panelists. My name is Lucky Ninsiima. I am the CEO of Zion Wanyama Farm. We are in Rentuha Town Council, Bushenyi District. We deal in dairy management and dairy value chains. And of course, as a farmer, I do work hand in hand with the Bodaboda. But though I have different ideas about the Bodaboda, but we work together and they are great supporters to farming, though I have my problems with them, but that's a topic for another day. Welcome, and I'm glad to be here.
Thank you, Ninsiima. And off to our seasoned journalist, Good luck, Musinguzi. Thank you for joining us. Where you're up and about, tell us how are you and how is the place that you're at?
Good morning, good morning, everyone, the listeners. I'm called Good luck Musinguzi, a journalist. I'm in Kampala. I'm near Lake Victoria. It's a good day. I think I also did quite a lot with the Bodabodas from all corners, from Karamoja to Yumbe, Koboko, where Kisoro. These are guys I admire in a way. One of the things I admire about them, sometimes us as we fail maybe to get a daily income, at least they are able to put some food on their tables. I'm happy to join others.
Thank you. Good luck. It's amazing that you're on the panel. Thank you for joining us, all our panelists. So we are going to really dive directly into it, and we just want to understand this industry. I'm calling it an industry, I said. So for Lucky Ninsiima, there are a bit of similarities, I believe, with this agriculture and Bodaboda. Of course, you said there are a few things that you like and a few things that you don't like. Maybe just a bit highlight for us what you think has attracted Ugandans into the Bodaboda industry, and if there are any similarities between, especially with income generation, with agriculture and Bodaboda. And also, just a follow-up, what do you think is leading this the people, the Ugandans, to really want to join Bodaboda and also take it on as a business?
Thank you so much, Doreen. Bodaboda is quite a good and money-making business that I personally would love to venture into in the near future, because when they make quick money, you wake up and you're sure in a day you will make at least 50K, depending on where you are. Unlike agriculture, where I am, in agriculture, to start with, you need capital, and our major capital in agriculture is land. Land is not something that is accessible to everyone, and considering the majority of the people in the Bodaboda, they are youth. Now if you sample 10 youth, you may find like only one has land, or even that one has access to land, may not be owning it, but could be having access to it, unlike the other 9 youth. But when you consider the youth and the Bodaboda, all they need is that Bodaboda.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, it comes with taxes and the fuel and all that, but all they need at the moment is the Bodaboda. With agriculture, you not only need land, you need land. For example, I'm in dairy keeping. I need land, I need animals, I need feed, I need the equipment. Talk of milk cans, talk of anything. I need the medicine to treat the animals. I need someone to take care of the animals, whether I'm taking care of them personally or hiring someone to do that. All those are expenses. On the Bodaboda, even if you don't own it, all you need is one person to ride it, maybe pay stage fees and all that, and you're good to go. In a day, you are assured of your money. Now in agriculture, you plant now, and the least it can take you is 4 months to harvest, start making money. And in the period of now till then, you're investing in. You're either doing pesticides, you're either putting in manure, or la labor, or you're weeding, or you're spraying, anything. But in between, you're injecting in before getting out the money. And the chances are high that you won't even get out the money that you invested in agriculture. It doesn't happen over time. In the dairy sector, it will take you three years to start earning. And that is something that you won't tell a youth who can easily walk out to the same money that buys a cow, will use the same money to buy a motorcycle and start making money now. If I'm a youth and I'm not passionate about, I don't see why I should wait 3 years to start earning from the same money that I can use to start earning immediately. So those are the challenges that are happening. Of course, each sector has its own advantages and disadvantages, but with the youth, quick money is what is fueling them to join the border sector, and the border sector does not need a lot to invest in to start. So all those are contributing a lot and attracting our youth and everyone to the border sector, unlike agriculture, though we work really hard in hand. Yes, thank you so much.
So according to your analysis, you would actually be well off investing in the Bodaboda industry and the agricultural industry. So maybe in the near future, the Bodaboda industry is going to overtake the agricultural industry and become the #1 employer in this country. But as we move forward, good luck. As you move up and down, I would like to just understand what are the general sentiments? You said you work really hand in hand and you admire these guys. What are the general sentiments of the Bodaboda industry by the public? When you look at what people talk about the border borders and of course the quick money, the easy accessibility of getting into it, what has this brought into the market that people respond to? So just share with us the sentiments of the general public about the border industry so that we can actually gauge the public opinion in terms of this employability.
Thank you very much. I think here we are talking of a machine, an engine operated on a motorcycle. And therefore, when you are talking of factors that lead cause production, is that this engine is bought with money, but you see, because it makes money, it's capital. It's as Lucky has said, it's not labor intensive. It's not what. So every other time a human being lives from using their hands, and they buy a machine, because I consider this border or this motorcycle like a computer you are using, or I am using, or the phone I am using as a journalist. And therefore, it's a tool of production. And therefore, when apart from in Kampala, where you are able to see many borders, but I can tell you, recently I was in Bidi refugee camp in Nyombi district. This is on the border of Uganda and DRC and a bit of Southern Sudan. When you are there, that border, that motorcycle could be the only lifeline of so many people in a big distance. And therefore, most of our people, when they are discussing, some discuss because they see plenty in front of them. And therefore, they think that everybody, they think that, oh, here we have many borders, but have you moved, how many kilometers have you moved away from Kampala? And for you to start saying that we have many borders. And therefore, even recently when I was in Rengo for the PPH, the head of Women's Hospital, Dr. Simon Nonge, said, borders can shift even homes. And he was giving you know how you put your things on a border and they relocate you to another place. And he was saying, please don't relocate our patients, our mothers who are breeding, and made us laugh. But so this border is like an engine. But interestingly is that yes, the educated are going there, but I would look at the able-bodied people who would be joining maybe agriculture. They are also looking at this money. I really talk to borders. I engage them a lot when I'm moving. But there are guys who tell me they make around 150, 100. Others don't make it in a day. And I can tell you, of course, the other sentiments about them, that quick money. Sometimes they also have some extra money they can share with the ladies, our friends, our daughters, our sisters. And sometimes they have been blamed for breaking homes. You know, as they bring matoke, they add that piece, a kilo of meat, which me, a salary earner or somebody who is waiting for gigs to come, might take long to get. And so the sentiments from the public are a bit of, it's like a double-edged sword. And even to those who have been hurt by the bodabodas, one, they also act as they and I hope the engineer or some one of us who's joining us, maybe later on he will tell us, the one who is a specialist in transportation. But these guys act like a mob. And this mob, it's like a court. They sit, they decide, they execute, and they punish. And therefore, there are people who have also died out of these guys. They have burnt vehicles, they have burnt houses. Sometimes it's a lawlessness, a group of people. Then, when you move a little bit on, there's also some people who say they fuel crime. I remember a year when I was almost killed in Seta. I went to one of the hotels, a big hotel, which I've been called by a World Bank project to come. And I found the hotel where, was full, and the manager said, go get any accommodation, I'll refund your money. Getting out, getting a border that, please, can you take me anywhere I can get? This guy just took me in the middle of thugs. They were pulling me, they were trying to strangle me dead. In the morning, you couldn't see me when I was attending the workshop with the others. And therefore, it's a mix. But to those who support their families, to those who are good, they have really uplifted. I have a little bit of some statistics from Ministry of Finance. Some are calculating that the money they raise amongst themselves, or the money we pay them, is like 13 trillion. That's almost 10% of the GDP of this country. They employ over 1.2 million. In Kenya, I'm seeing the statistics, the numbers show that there are over 2.5 million people who are being employed. So it's quite an
Wow, it's very interesting. It's a double-edged kind of feedback. That's true. For example, when you're around the streets of Kampala, when you're on a motorcycle and it takes over the pavements, it's okay. But when you're the pedestrian and the motorcycle takes over the pavements, the walking area for the pedestrians, it is something else. So yes, it is actually true that it's a double-edged type of feedback. Now, it's also something that we need to really ask ourselves: is it considered a permanent employment? Is this venture, when the people get into the business of motorcycle or bodaboda, are they looking at permanent employment, or is it something that they are doing so that they can get into another employment? Well, I would like for Sidney to answer that, and also just a bit, how should bodabodas be better integrated into the urban transport planning so that as they play this big role in contributing to our GDP and our economy, we are also safe and they are also well planned for? First, is it a permanent employment, or is it something that people use as a waiting area to get employment? And how do we integrate them into urban transport planning so that we are safe on the road? Sidney, please.
Yes, for many, once they venture into it, it would now become a permanent employment for them, because a great percentage may not be educated, as may not venture into other formal sector employment, but some can also cling to it forever when it's what makes them comfortable. Just as earlier speaker had said, when they would gauge that, like for example, agriculture would be much more involving and they're already comfortable with the motorcycles. And partly here, a factor which enabled them to continue for longer was the climate. Like for example, in the Europes during winter, such a business is one which would be much harder for them. But here the warm climate still also encourages them to venture into it forever. Though the hotter climate, often 30 degrees Celsius and beyond, then results into unsafe practices, just as some would find putting on the helmet uncomfortable, since after they'll feel a lot of heat on their head. Hence, best temperature would say for them to still continue to thrive, and by when they don't see hot temperatures as an excuse or a burden, would be 15 to 20 degrees Celsius. But for colder in winter, it would be very uncomfortable for them. Hence, partly climate has contributed to them thriving. But now for the country and cities long-term plan, yes, they are contributing to the urban mobility, and them being chased away would be viable if also replacements have been made, such as light rail transit and bike lanes, where for that last 1 kilometer, even if someone has got off a public taxi, would at least still be comfortable with an electric bike. Even in early 2022, there had been a suggestion to reduce their number very much to about 7,000, which was to be quite little. Even already, even Safe Border, who are registered, then you can see the highest number. Some have helmets of 25,000, meaning Safe Border never registered over 25,000. By while recent reports had shown that there are about 350,000 in Greater Kampala. Yes, that's quite a big number. That's why good number often can be idle, park on what would be a pedestrian walkway, and pedestrian is forced to walk then on the road where can be hit by the motorcycles and cars already in motion. By say an optimum number would be most that half, yes, not to reduce so much, and the few available then increase the fares they charge on the citizens. Like for example, what's visible at Nambole just after game, where the people that would wish to move with them are more than the available motorcycles, then they hike up the fees they charge. But for that not to occur, by still not to be so excess, say possibly half their number to 180,000, okay. And also when they are registered and where one can easily get their detail, for example, if they can make like just 6 of the Safe Border when each has about 30,000, Safe Border for us, and maybe some other 4 would help. So for now, they are still paramount in the urban mobility that the city has got used to. This would be hard to adopt if suddenly eliminated, but they can get plans to incorporate other possible means, then possibly these are taken to other cities in the country, and Kampala remains without. For example, that has been the case in Kenya's Nairobi and Ethiopia at Addis Ababa. In their capital, less they were chased as one only owns if doing their private work, but not to carry passengers. But in other cities of the country, there they are still they still operate. Thanks.
Thank you, Sidney. You talked about the helmets and the safety of owning and riding a motorcycle. It is apparent and has been on conversations and debates, even at policy making levels, where we have had different stakeholders suggest what can be done to organize the motorcycles. Currently, the NSSF is joining the bandwagon to try and see if they can organize so that motorists can also benefit on a few other benefits from such as insurance and, of course, savings and retirement benefits. How far or how I would like us to look at the traction of what that might look like and what can we do so that these policies that have been suggested over time, especially that of decongesting Kampala, the city itself, and organizing them in stages and all the other places can be actualized so that we can have a safe, and a better mobility while we move around. Lucky Ninsiima, from your area of agriculture and the agriculture sector and the organization, are there a few things that you can share with us, especially towards the Bodaboda, where we can actually know and see the implementation of it happening so that we can have an organized city, depending on, I mean, using the backlog of all the suggestions that have been given with the different stakeholders, including NSSF. What is your say?
Thank you so much. One thing, I have interacted with the borders. Sometimes I do join the road safety activists, and we are engaging the borders, especially knowing that they are the, okay, I won't say the major causes, but knowing that they contribute a lot to the daily accidents on our roads. But you know, one thing with the borders, do you see the way you find them on their stage? How they are, and they won't take a word from anyone that is not part of them. I think that is what mostly defines them. They have their mindset locked in a certain area where you won't come out from outside and easily take them out of their mindset. And the bad thing is that they believe they're always right. You know, Bodaboda can knock you and say, well, what are you doing on the road? Yet he's the one who knocked you. He's the one in the wrong. But for them, they are never in the wrong, according to them. So I think one thing that we can do to change their mindset is to change their mindset. I don't know how we will do it. I don't know how we will achieve it. I don't know how, but those guys, they are locked somewhere and it is hard to. I think it also happens in all sectors of economy. You know what you're doing, you know you're the best and you're good at it. So someone coming from outside to tell you, okay, now look, you don't have to graze your cow in this land. I'm like, who are you? So I think the same thing happens with the borders, but we don't understand them so well to engage them for the best of everyone. But again, another thing, you know, most of unemployed youth are in the borders, and most of uneducated youth are in the borders, which is okay. But then, most of the people riding those motorcycles don't even have permits, but they're on the roads operating. What happens? That they reach a traffic guy. All you give a traffic guy is not, for the borders, I think is 2K, and for the taxis, 5K on our roads. So someone who is supposed to be implementing all these guidelines to make sure everyone is safe on the road is just being bought at a 2K. I mean, 2,000 Uganda shillings, 1,000, 2,000. It can't even buy you lunch. It can't even buy you a drink. But someone is selling the lives of many at that cost. So we need to start with our implementers. What are the traffic guys who are always on the road doing? I love Kigali. You can't ride the border without a helmet. And even the person on your car link, the passenger has to be wearing a helmet. Now here, you will find a policeman or a traffic guy on a border without helmet. The person riding that person has no helmet, but they're okay. Now, who will implement these if the implementers are also failing the system? Thank you so much.
The question of who is failing who, the implementers or the motorists, it's very interesting. Now, that comes to us to ask the question of whether these numbers reflect the same thing in people's pockets. So the impact of motorcycles is something that we have to bargain about. I mean, we have to debate about here. Good luck. It's something that many have joined the border industry, and according to reports, it's from the ages of 18 to 35, which are actually legal ages to get permits. And you would assume that maybe the reason why they say 18 to 35 is because you can only get a permit at 18. So the instance where people are riding without permits, is it a case of people not yet fully reached the age? Is it a competency issue, or is it a corruption issue? Just a comment on that. And also, when you go forward about still the NSSF issue, I would like you to gauge for us the attitude towards the NSSF and its involvement with the motorists. Like Ninsiima said that it's very difficult to get an outsider to get involved in their business. Do you see NSSF getting anywhere with organizing these motorists in terms of what they're suggesting to try and get them better care, insurance, and what do you say?
Thank you very much. My take is that all of us who are doing work should do it in a legal way. It really helps. It helps you. It safeguards you when you have challenges. When they knock you, when they steal your things, you have done things in a legal way. But what is also interesting is that because I don't know, like I was saying, because of some negativity that reigns maybe in majority of the people, I don't know. But one time I found a border telling me that getting a driving permit for himself was 800,000 Uganda shillings. I said, man, that's a lie. I said, your thing doesn't even cost, it's around 80,000 or 100 or something like that. And the man said, you see, these people who sell us the borders are the ones who say, now we keep paying, they are the ones going to work on the permits. And now at the end of the day, we end up having a majority of people who can't walk to, now getting a permit is less than 10 minutes. And so most of them have failed to legalize because they are either, they are not the owners of the motorcycles. And so these guys find a way of squeezing each money that they can get out of them, or some deliberately don't want to go. Because, and you see what Lucky was saying, that why even me, what I said earlier, that these guys are like doing mob justice. When they knock you and you say, let's go to police, because they know they don't have the legal, they are not allowed to be on the road. And so for them, it's like, let's sort this. And even why you see them attract so many people in case of a conflict quickly, they have an unwritten rules where they will shout. Everybody's shouting from the other side and is saying you are the one in wrong. And the next, they are like, you will pay 200,000. Now, the real story is when the victim has left and the sharing becomes a problem. And then someone starts saying, I was shouting more. If I had not shouted, you are not going to get the money. And therefore, they are just crafty guys who, and like what Ninsiima said in terms of safety, again, you reach these traffic lights, they see policemen. The next time, because he doesn't have a helmet, he doesn't have a reflector, he doesn't have anything that makes him legal, now starts driving like a madman. So they end up, either if they won't take in a single truck running away, they will push you in other borders. It's the legality part of it is something, and because like now we are in a political season, who can talk about these guys? So it's a recurring problem. Now about NSSF, about saving, I think for me these guys they form a bulk. If you were to add 1.2 million people to the saving of NSSF. That means, one, NSSF would raise a lot of money to invest in the economy, but still it would help them to really keep money for the future. And therefore, for me, it's something that is good that they should look into and embrace. But like I told you, somebody who doesn't see the reason of getting a permit, of doing what, formalization for them is a big problem. And therefore, as we accept that they are part of us, can they accept also to formalize in a way? Yes, I agree. There are organized countries like they have talked of Kigali, Nairobi, and Ethiopia, and I mean Addis Ababa and others. I think we will reach there, but for me, currently, the sector is helping us sort a problem of unemployment. And as I've told you, 13 trillion in an economy is not small money. But how do you get part of that into saving so that that money can be used for something else? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good luck. Sidney, this begs a question. This leaves a question for us to answer. As a road safety and mobility advocate, I would like to know if, for example, throughout your career and work, you have been able to engage with the different stakeholders, for example, for road users, especially motorists and bodabodas. Has there been campaigns or conversations or events where you have involved the bodabodas and their stakeholders? Because it's a broad challenge regarding the fact that, like Good Luck stated, there are people that help them acquire these motorcycles, and there are strings attached to how they acquire these motorcycles. And it could be a reason why some of them have still issues with helmets and the rest, because road safety is very important, but how they get this equipment and how they get to the road is very important. Is there a series of process where they go through so that they are able to get onto the road and ride people and their products? Is there something that is being suggested, or is there something that can be suggested so that we can have safe riders and safe transportation?
Yes.
To Sidney.
Thanks, Doreen. Yeah, often many suggestions have been made, but often the implementation and reaching to a reality, which is often difficult, but as known often in this country, politics is the greater means, or it takes greater control. And often when some suggestions have been made, but to implement them, the political part will think about it and say maybe if they lose votes, then would have less chance to implement that. But as what would be known, a greater percentage, when they can learn how to ride maybe from a cousin or a friend through not a formal process, and maybe slowly can agree with the other owner to be taking the night time or Sunday when the other officially just who had got the motorcycle is resting, then slowly with time also maybe acquire theirs by when they haven't gone through formal training. By often it has been suggested even in meetings, policy interventions, for the right things to be done, and they put on all the helmets and follow other safety precautions. By often reaching the implementation side, especially enforcement, it's difficult, partly because political reasons, but also because their number ever grew to an extent where they are uncontrollable. For example, if a police officer is about to stop them, they can easily make a U-turn, unlike cars where the roads could be narrow and the environment doesn't make it easy for them to run away at higher speeds like in some of the developed countries. But yeah, for motorcycles, they can easily make a U-turn. By recent, when they were called to Kololo, I believe last week, in their union, a lot prevailed that since they have recent made a Bodaboda union to be for the country at large with regional offices and 83 leaders from all over the country who can call to the board. And while they were at that ceremony, many of their leaders stated that soon they are to ask for funds and they be taken to Rwanda. They have a 3-day formal visit and see how things are done there and the safety practices. And afterwards, they would come back and they be the starting point to inform and educate the other border riders. But to know if that will come to a reality and help save the situation, only time will tell. If in 3 years, the situation will have improved. And also in that union of theirs, when found that given their big number, 1.2 million, that they can venture on that when they form a circle and maybe later to become a bank, can easily get ways, loans to suit them and to be able to prosper them. Some had complained that of recent, when they are given loans, that the motorcycle cost 5 million, but they have to pay back 15 million. By with such cooperatives, then they'll easily fund themselves. But there only one would worry that would their number then grow too much? That is there also a way to control for them not to become maybe in 7 million in the country. While they had suggested that still in the cooperative, in their union, to form, to also venture into other practices, make their brand hold union, make petroleum products, packaged water, try also look into other ventures. And for now, it's just about waiting to see if what they mentioned at that ceremony will turn out into real fruits and help save the industry, or it may have been just for that ceremony to try and maybe convince the president that they also have plans and for the president to try and change the perception he had of them.
That's wonderful. I've been here and thinking when you're speaking about how they acquired the loans and then how much they pay back after getting the motorcycle. Are there a few other challenges that could be the reason why? I don't know. Good luck. Come in and just help us analyze this part. Bodabodas, as the Bodaboda, you're going to speak as one of the Bodaboda people. Just share with us a few of the challenges that you have actually found in the field that the Bodabodas share with you. Just a list of them. And that could maybe be a reason why maybe the union, the United Bodaboda Riders Cooperative Union, could come in and see we can suggest a few of the things that I think can be done through their union. But first, what are they?
Thank you very much. The quickest part is the law enforcement, the police, and all the other agencies which arrest them and then they take away the motorcycles. When you go at some of these police stations, you find their machines really which are rotting away. They are left in the sun. they are hit by the rain. And for me, that is one of the worst things, that when you talk to them, some of them you see tears rolling because they have taken away your source of income. Giving it to you is a problem. And for the other issues we have talked about, maybe sometimes the papers, maybe you have knocked a person, you are not insured, and all that. So one of the biggest challenges is that they think that even when they are arrested in circumstances that require so, giving them their machines sometimes takes time. If you remember, there's when the president had to make a blanket like amnesty and said, if you own a motorcycle at any police station, go and pick it. But when you go to places like Kawempe police, I've gone there, you have gone to some places, you're like, you look at the policemen, you look at these machines rotting around, you are like, why are they keeping this one? Now, secondly, they talk about leadership issues. Amongst themselves, there are people who make them raise money. Like I talked about stage money, some talk about welfare money, some talk about what. But at the end of the day, when they ask for this money, sometimes it's not available. And therefore, it's one of the things that they have a challenge, that if anybody was to add them into a group where they can best organize themselves and lead themselves, maybe. So leadership has been a challenge because they say they don't have people who can go and talk for them in case when some of their friends have issues. And that's why I'm happy we have a transport specialist who maybe could also look at how does he join some of this and use his expertise, his education, maybe to organize these people to be better. Those are some of the quickest challenges that I see. But then also there is
what you believe that can be done, especially with organization, because I think the biggest challenge that the Bodaboda industry has is with organization. It's employing over 1.2 million of our Ugandans. It's contributing to the GDP and economy of this country. It's, of course, supporting very other different stakeholders, including agriculture, the petroleum and oil industry, and then, of course, the mechanics and the rest. What are some of the suggestions that the Bodaboda industry can borrow from the agricultural industry? Because as you're leading up there in employment, there must be a few things that either one of you is doing better so that the industry is attractive in attracting many people. What are those? What are some of those organizational uniquenesses that can be shared so that the Bodaboda industry can flourish and also increase in number as well?
Thank you so much, Doreen. Actually, I think the Bodaboda is doing well in organizing themselves. Only that the outside people, we can't easily recognize it. But even the smallest size stage, the one that has like 10 Bodabodas or something, you find they have a group, they have a leader, they have someone in charge of security, they have a treasurer, they have a secretary. Before you join, there's somewhere you pay fees to join the stage. In case of maybe a stolen boda or anything, or there are some stubborn customers who fail to pay, especially the regular ones. There's someone in charge of security who will actually go out and like, hey, Doreen, you have been using this boda and you're not paying. And next time you do that, you won't be allowed on our stage. They are really organized. In the case of theft, someone knows where to start from. Those guys, in their unity, they will just go out and look for a thief. And they do it better than police even. Only that for them, they do mob justice and end up releasing all their anger on you. But I think they are more organized. When someone gets a problem, maybe has lost someone, they are always there. They take They take the condolences, they go, they join, they are together. I think it's one of those ground-based organizations that are still strong. Trust me, the Bodaboda person will be there for another Bodaboda person. Come rain, come sunshine, and you can't convince them otherwise. They are more than family, because definitely they are family. They spend most of the time together, so they know each other better than anyone. And actually, I think we should borrow a leaf from Bodabodas. If the unity they have is in all the sectors, I think we would do better. But imagine I am a dairy farmer, but I don't want another cow from another farm too close to my farm. One, I don't trust their hygiene. I don't trust their management. I don't trust whether the animals are not sick or sick. So I don't want another animal too close to my farm. Bodaboda of mine, they will be like, hey, I have a customer, but my Bodaboda is in the garage. Can I borrow yours? Automatically. You don't even ask. So if we borrowed a leaf from Bodaboda, I think that's why they are doing better than most of the businesses in Uganda. And yes, they have their shortcomings, but they are really good when it comes to unity. And they do save, by the way. You find the Bodaboda stage has a saving, okay, like a small circle. I can't even say the village saving unit, but they always save within themselves. They have a bank account, either in the nearest circle, and they save. You find like a day you have to, once you become a member, you're subjected to a certain fee, and you have to put it there. And to some who have used it to their benefit, they have improved. You find someone started with one border, now they have 2, 3, 4. They're also employing others. But of course, there are those who don't care about them. And it happens to everyone. Even us in other sectors, you find, you're like, I can survive on my own. I don't need others. But when it comes to unity, Bodabodas are doing it. Thank you so much.
So we are just going to get into what can we learn from this industry that can actually be shared with other industries, so that we can have, because there are formal industries that are really failing. People are leaving professions. For example, teachers are joining bodabodas. Very many people are leaving their educatable, like the ones they studied, and joining bodaboda. I know of a few bodabodas that decided to leave formal employment and wanted to do bodabodas. By then, the skill, it was just something that they wanted to have their own flexible hours of work. As it grows and as it becomes something that we have to watch out for, even with the negative perceptions of them being involved with crime and accidents, what are some of the lessons, or what are some of the things that we learn from the industry that can be implemented, for example, in the businesses, in the informal businesses, or in the formal employment areas? Sidney.
Thanks, Doreen. And just as one of the factors that attracts many to go into it is the fact it can bring income to one's pockets on a daily basis. As for a good number who leave the formal employment because they would only expect the money at the end of the month, and sometimes even salary delays can occur, or in the private sector where the other bosses or management can decide not to pay for 3 months or more, either because the business is not progressing well, or for their other intended purposes. As can be seen with the motorcycle industry, one would easily get some income on a daily basis. By those in other industries, maybe can borrow a leaf and also have some other side ventures. If the formal employment probably gives income only after a month, then one to also venture into other businesses to increase the income level, especially if also one can get, it can be daily or weekly, such that one doesn't have to wait up to the end of the month and partly also one easily being able to join it without a lot of formal procedures, or joining formal after just some time when they have seen may easily get caught. Could be another factor which encourages some to venture into it compared other industries to require much more skills and formality if one is to thrive in them. Thanks, Doreen.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Sidney, for your submission. Good luck, we are getting to you, and I think we shall be working on our very last question here. So good luck. What does the Bodaboda industry and its future look like? What are some of the hints and suggestions or recommendations you have? Do you see the Bodaboda industry turning into in the next few years? But also regarding the mere factor that the cooperative union and the NSSF involvement, and of course the other stakeholders that have been really partnering with the Bodaboda industry, including Safe Border, of course, Vuga, Tugende, and the rest. What does this future look like? For example, to you as a journalist, is it something that will run through and become the #1 employer in this country? Are we looking at other sectors trying to copy and have this kind of employability? What do you see for the Bodaboda industry? Good luck.
Thank you very much. I see a sector that is going to promote climate change in a way that most of them have started embracing electric motorcycles. I see an industry that is going to be so big because the data from Uganda Revenue Authority shows that this country we import more bodabodas, and maybe we're also going to see maybe manufacturing of some of these motorcycles in Uganda. I see a bodaboda sector that is going to support all the sectors of life, like Lucky says, when she has milk, when she wants medicine for the cows, when she wants to move from one place to the other, maybe she needs that bodaboda. And therefore, even us as journalists, when we want to go to places where we can't go, sometimes maybe even where vehicles can't reach, bodabodas will be there. And therefore, organizing the border sector, instead of threatening them and, and even to the media and all of us, those who try, to demonize them, I think let's look at them as a sector, because when people leave agriculture, or when people stop using rudimentary ways of raising money, but now they are using machines. And therefore, I look at a bodaboda as a machine that should be able to fuel our economy ahead. Them being put in a bracket of those who can save, but also imagine us also having these ones raising money for permits from them. So they're a big source of income for the economy that they are trying to project to $500 billion US dollars in the coming 10 years. So there is so much hope that it doesn't matter whether you're educated or not. What matters is that this machine can help transport our goods from one place to another, can quicken services, can help in a way, and therefore other countries maybe could even come and benchmark and see how we do it, because as unemployment, rips apart through Africa and to the Asian countries, to all over the whole world where people are complaining. I think border sector, the motorcycle is going to be one way that is going to bridge the gap. And if it ever becomes the #1 employing sector, I think the political arm or the policymakers for example, at Parliament, and the executive, we should be able to ask how much money are they investing in this sector so that it can become big and serve all of us. Thank you very much.
Lucky Ninsiima, one very good. I would like to paint us a picture of what you would like as a partnership between the agriculture and the Bodaboda industry. How would you help shape the different perceptions? Of course, in the beginning, you said you like them, but you also have a few things with them. What does the partnership between agriculture and Bodaboda look like? What would that look like? Paint us a picture.
Thank you so much. First of all, most of the agricultural activities, especially at the end stage, whereby the products or services are leaving the farms and the production units to go out to the end user, who is the customer, there is transportation needed, and a lot of transportation. I personally work with 4 Bodaboda guys. Okay, those are my guys. Even if I can send them anywhere, and someone will know, Lucky sent them. They do deliveries. They shop for me stuff. They do most of my work actually on the farm, which means that all we need is to have a strong relationship with these guys. Let us look at them, one, as the Bodaboda guys, but also as individuals. You know, if we keep categorizing them as Bodaboda guys, and in Uganda they say abavubuka ba boda, or in Nyangwa they say abojo, abojo ba boda, meaning small boys who are riding motorcycles, which is wrong. That makes us disrespect them. That makes us not trust them. That makes us doubt their services. But if we have a good relationship with them, you can trust them with your money, you can trust them with your products, you can trust them even with your customers, you are assured, even they develop that confidence and know that I do work with Doreen and I have to respect my relationship with Doreen. And I think that is the point where we are failing. But I'm sure if you ask every Ugandan, someone will say, I have my border guy. Almost everyone will say, I have my border guy, which means this is also how we relate with them. But I see a future whereby almost every household owning a border, even if it's not for public use, but for in-house use. Go bring me things for the children, go deliver this. I need a quick something from town. I need this and this. And that means that we are increasing employment. Because if you own a motorbike, you need someone riding it. That means increased employment. But also, I'm looking forward to a point whereby the border people that we deal with are authentic. And they do things the way they're supposed to be done. They have the helmets, they have the permits, they follow the guidelines on the road, they respect road users, they make our roads safe. And we reduce on the number of people who die daily in the motorcycle crashes. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you, our panelists. Now to Nyombi, it's just a simple question. Which word, expressive word, would you term the Bodabodas as? Just one word. Is Nyombi still here?
Yes.
Just one word. How would you describe the borders?
I would describe them with the word enigma, which stands for mysterious, strange, or puzzling. And partly even at the recent ceremony they had with the president, one tried to say that they should have that ceremony with him and maybe others for the next 300 years, but which instantly put me to a state of laughter. Was will the motorcycles still be existing even the next 300 years? Of course, one would see, like for example, bicycles based on history possibly have been around 500 years, by later remained just as a source one can use on their wish or leisure. But later, the motorcycles, cars had come up. And for example, if you follow the developing world, while here motorcycles, even the main topic has been as the source of employment. But in the developing countries, already they are shifting to the mindset of especially cars operating when they don't have a driver, meaning to them already population is less, and how can errors and less hiring recent gone into research where also a motorcycle can move on its own when it doesn't have the driver. By given here being labeled and ready as a source of income and employment, then country may still be in a long way to such state of driverless cars and motorcycles. Special areas of specialization in road safety for the developed world in their driverless car economy. So how to ensure still when the cars or motorcycles don't have drivers, people operating them, but still to be safe. But here where still be seen as the way for survival in terms of employment and income, then still how is their operation still to remain safe by when they are a family's main source of income and employment. So yes, there will be two different worlds: the developed world with driverless cars, motorcycles, and here where they are they love to still have drivers for the purpose of employment, but as and their climate easily gives them the reasoning on how to survive, like how they are one if was to operate as motorcycle rider possibly would have to drive much less often in the much colder winter. Yes, later someone would have easily looked into something else to do. But here, possibly it's still to thrive for the next years. Thanks, Doreen.
Well, that was a very great summary of how 300 years from now we could be seeing vintage motorcycles. We shall have Bajaj boxers and the very first electric motorcycle to ride the streets of Kampala in the museum. Well, thank you to our panelists for coming around and riding along with me on this journey to understand the bodabodas and the motorcycle business in Uganda. And as we come to, of course, an end of this discussion, I would like to just state a few things that I believe bodabodas have done for this economy amidst their perception of being involved in accidents and crime in this country. We know that they have actually eased a bit of transport, like our panelists have said, and we believe that in the near future, it's going to actually grow bigger. And our conversation here is going to be set as a tool to help in the research, because we have suggested and we have seen a few of the ways that we can actually improve their mobility and transport, and of course in urban planning for a better country and for a better GDP, as well as better citizens. Thank you to our panelists, Lucky Ninsiima, our farmer. Good luck, our journalist, and Sidney Nyombi, who has been our mobility advocate and transport expert. Thanks to the technical team at the Center for Constitutional Governance and partners that work hand in hand to make sure that this program comes in weekly and is aired every week, same time. Thanks to our amazing audience and also our panelists for coming around and having this wonderful conversation with us. My name is Doreen Abuole, and until next time, have a good evening and bye.